Who was the worst guest that stayed at your house? We moved into this new house. Apparently the people who lived there before us never told their friend they moved. He let himself in and went into the bathroom unnoticed. I went in there sometime later and found this random guy passed out with a needle in his arm in my new ducking bathroom. Worst first night in a new house ever. Go on. I called out to my boyfriend because I freaked out. The guy woke up, looked at us, pulled the needle out of his arm, and sprayed my perfume on himself, and then ran out the door. All while we just watched. I have no idea how long he was in there for, but he left his spoon in the sink. I grew up in a town where we never had to lock doors. I lock my doors all the time now. My sister was supposed to stay just the weekend to help after my hysterectomy. I had to kick her out after 3 months because it became painfully obvious she relapsed drugs. The last straw was when she became upset with me, and knowing that I'm allergic to perfume, she went through the entire house, spraying her perfume. I had to stay away from my own house for 24 hours, my poor husband and children. Without a doubt, hands down, the friend whose family came up to my lake house for a week. Her 10-year-old had a bedwetting problem. Understandably, no one wants to talk about that. Except when it's time to change the sheets when the guests are gone. OMG, I had to throw out a brand new mattress. Had someone do this to my parents, ruined a $2,500 down sofa, except we were aware of the problem and gave her an inflatable mattress to sleep on. She got up in the middle of the night and moved onto the forbidden couch, super soaked it and told no one. My sister. Her 10-year-old went through all our DVDs and stuffed about 6 under his coat as they left. One fell out and we discovered the rest. My sister's reaction? Boys will be boys. Are you kidding me? My wife's friends had stayed over after a party because they lived pretty far away. I was in the kitchen making coffee in the morning, and the friend's wife came up the basement stairs into the kitchen, wearing nothing but her underwear. She didn't say anything to me, she just shuffled past and went back into the spare bedroom. I was curious what she was doing down there, so I went and I checked. It turns out in her drunken state she couldn't find either one of the bathrooms upstairs on the main level, so she went into the basement and shit beneath the stairs all over the floor. When her husband came out of the bedroom, I told him that he had a mess to clean up and directed him to the basement so he could find his wife's surprise. That's when he decided to use our clean bath towels to smear her shit all over my basement floor. Then he just tossed the towels into the laundry tub. I never spoke to either one of them again. One good thing did come out of it though. We now get to say, shit the basement drunk, as the top of the drunkenness meter. When I moved out into my own place, my mom and dad helped me out on 2 consecutive weekends, giving the rooms a quick coat of paint. In their eyes, helping me with my house equals invite themselves over at any time. 3 weeks settled into my new place and every evening they would show up unannounced. They would always have one of their friends with them also for no ducking reason. I've had a hard day at work and it's 8 PM, can't you just leave me in peace? But no, it still continued despite my very blatant hints about giving a person space. About 2 months went by, and they were still annoying as ever. Then one day I get a call from my then girlfriend who was staying over, saying she thinks my parents are in the kitchen and she has no idea what to do. They had let themselves in my house through the back, and just started moving shit around while I was at work. My girlfriend was still upstairs in bed, and hadn't met them yet. I immediately went home for lunch and asked them what the duck they were doing. They gave me the blankest look, as if it was normal to barge into someone's home while they aren't there. I was major pissed off and didn't speak to them for a month. Also changed the locks and I finally think they got the message. My roommate's friend needed a place to crash while he found an apartment. We had a spare room, but he didn't want to rent it. After 3 weeks it became obvious he was trying to stay with us for free when he brought all of his clothes and stuff. So we charged him rent for next month if he planned to stay longer. Stole our Xbox and disappeared. But he left all his stuff, which was worth a lot more. We didn't bother calling the cops and just told him to bring back the Xbox or he can't get his stuff. He never responded, and we just made a $1,000 profit selling his crap. Probably not as bad as other stories in this thread, but my girlfriend and I went away for a week and a half, and a friend of ours volunteered to house sit and take care of our pets, to cats and to lizards. We made sure they knew what to do, and wrote a care sheet for each animal, and what they needed to do to keep the animals healthy while we were away. Feed the cats, clean their litter, chop up veggies for the lizards and feed them bugs, and give the lizard a quick bath if she poops because she'll definitely run around in it. So after we ran our friend through our daily routine to care for our pets, we said our goodbyes and went away. When we came back, our apartment looked nice, but there was a heavy cat piss / cat shit smell all over the apartment, and when I checked on my lizard, she had shit all over her underside. Not cool. Bearded dragons have salmonella in their feces, and this meant she ran a risk of getting very sick if she ran over her food. We ended up having to take her to the vet for a $300 vet bill, for tail rotten to check for food poisoning. The cat litter was literally solid. When confronted, he said he had just forgotten to clean it once before he left, but it looked exactly like a week and a half worth of two cats' pee-poos. Our one cat was so fed up with the amount of pee-poos in the litter that we saw him peeing on the floor, which has never once happened before or since this incident. It was clear to us that he did next to nothing to care for our pets, like he promised he would. He just volunteered to stay in our apartment because it was an hour closer to his new job, and completely used us. We used to be great friends, but I haven't seen them more than once in the 2 years since this incident. Hard to trust someone after they pull a stunt like that. This dude was a family friend who my mom let in my room to play Xbox. I wasn't home at the time, so I didn't see it, but I had forgotten my phone one day, so as soon I get home I frantically look for it, as I normally would. My phone was nowhere in sight, so I was like, duck it, I'll look for it later, and chill with this dude on Xbox. The dude seems nervous as duck, so start catching on to this mother ducker. I go through one of my drawers which had about $100 in it, and guess what? It's gone. I decide to duck with this dude, so I said my phone has a tracker app on it, and that I was going to report it stolen to the police, which was complete BS. But hey, he bought my story and was getting nervous. He goes over to his mom and speaks in his native language, so I can't understand. He did use phone and police in English, and at that point I knew he took both of them. I told my dad and he went apeshit on this dude, just full on shouting at him until he started crying, which was hilarious. He returned my stuff afterwards and just waited outside. His mother was crying profusely, and kept apologizing and saying stuff like, I never knew he had this side to him, and there must be a reason why he stole your stuff, but I knew she was in on it too. I had no sympathy for either of those sly mother duckers. A woman named Misty. My roommate met her at a party, and invited her back. She stayed the night, yeah whatever. But then didn't leave the next day. She just hung out. Even asked if we were going to buy more soda. She stayed the night again. On the couch. 2 days later we drove her to a family member, just to get rid of her. My mom was my worst guest ever. We moved her because she lost her job and was staying with random people. She never offered to help with anything, left my house a pigsty at all times. When she would get her unemployment she'd buy herself the most random crap, stayed up all hours of the night, and got incredibly shitty in the morning if my young children would wake her up, and would purposely get in awful fights with my husband, because she hated him and didn't want me married to him. I asked her if she would watch my children, so I could go back to work to help support her, and she freaked out that I wasn't planning on paying her to babysit. After 2 years, I really tried to ignore it and continue helping. We had to kick her out. My sister's boyfriend. I have never actually hated anyone, until I was forced to live with this guy for 2 weeks. He was an ungrateful prick, and extremely disrespectful to my parents and sister. I'll refer to him as M. M was staying at my parents' house, because my sister inadvertently got him kicked out of his aunt's house. She felt bad, so she asked my parents to let him stay for some time until they could find other living arrangements. He brought over all his stuff and made himself right at home quickly. He set up his Xbox in the living room and played Destiny all day because he didn't have a job. He's 27. He would constantly complain about the internet being laggy and would tell anyone who was listening that our internet is shitty. He would constantly, at least 3-4 times, take an entire loaf of pepperoni bread, fill it with cheese, bake it, eat some and then throw it away. He literally screamed at my mother that she was disrespecting him when she called his music screamo and had a hissy fit. He and my sister shared a room right next to mine, and at night I could hear him singing to her. Not so bad, except he proclaimed that he was incredibly talented and never missed a chance to mention it. The best part about his stay though was when he told me that aliens were on Earth, helped build the pyramids, and altered our DNA so that we evolved faster. He would also constantly tell my sister what to do, and was very controlling. My sister now lives with him in an apartment. He recently crashed her car and fled the scene. I hate him. When I was 17, my older brother brought 2 of his college friends from school to stay for a weekend in the town he was raised. They went to the Citadel in Charleston, so they are cadet-ish. Anyway, my mom caught one of them smelling my 12-year-old sister's stockings and preteen girl underwear. My mom kind of freaked and was in semi-shock, and came in and told my brother in front of me and the other friend. What was even more awkward is the guy tried to play it off like he thought it was my room, and he was looking for my weed. He said he was sniffing because he could smell weed somewhere, and wanted to smoke. My mom wanted so hard to believe this that she actually accused me of having weed in my room, which was upstairs. Edit. Jesus, so many responses. Okay, so he wasn't really that great of friends with my brother, and the guy had no idea my sister was 12. He never had met my sister. Also, I guess I had weed in my room because of them in the first place. They wanted to smoke, and I helped them find weed, even though I hardly ever smoked. My dad found out only later, and my sister thinks it's hilarious. She's like 24 now, and she constantly tells people this story even though she has never met this guy even to this day.